When a man breaks a truly loving woman's heart, it is almost never truly about her. It is more about his own failure to recognize and honor the depth of what he was given. But in doing so, he ignites a profound shift within her that even she might not have been aware of. A truly loving woman, when wounded, does not shatter. She does not sink into despair. What she does instead is far more impactful. She transforms. And transformation for her does not involve public outcry or a desire for vengeance. It begins quietly. It starts with moments of deep self-reflection where she questions everything: her self-worth, her relationship choices, and the immense love she offered. But the key difference with a woman of genuine character is that these difficult thoughts do not crush her spirit. They purify it. Deep down, her foundation was never shallow. She loved with transparency. She dedicated her time, her entire heart, and her energy without tracking the cost. She stood by him through his toughest periods, believing her faith in him would eventually help him believe in himself. That kind of devotion is not passive or foolish. It is an extraordinary form of inner strength. And when that devotion is disregarded, what follows is not collapse. It is absolute clarity. She begins to perceive things that were previously obscured. She starts remembering all the times she excused obvious warning signs, the times she remained silent just to preserve a peace that was never truly real, and all the times she invested parts of herself into someone who did not know how to value them. Instead of becoming bitter or distant, she emerges wiser. She does not close off her capacity to love. She simply learns to guard her energy better. She does not erect walls built from anger. She develops refined discernment. She does not engage in arguments or retaliation. She elevates herself. This is what many men fail to grasp. When they cause pain to a loving woman, they expect her to stay. They assume her inherent goodness will mask the hurt. They count on her commitment to overlook their inconsistency. But every heart has a boundary. And once she reaches that limit, she will not look back. Not because she stopped caring for him, but because she finally started recognizing her own inherent value. And that newfound self-awareness reconfigures everything. She begins to rebuild her life meticulously, deliberately. She redirects her emotional resources and puts them into herself, into her personal development, her aspirations, and her healing journey. And here is the profound truth. The very action he thought would break her is the catalyst that awakens her. And there is nothing more challenging for a man who took her for granted than witnessing her evolve into the woman he failed to appreciate when she was fully present in his life. This is not motivated by spite, but by pure strength and clarity of mind. And this is what truly wounds him. He never anticipates it. He thought she would simply wait. He mistakenly believed she depended on him. He assumed she would remain static while he sorted out his own issues. But she did not. She moved forward. She shed the old version of herself that accepted being invisible. And she matured into someone who finally acknowledges her own visibility. She does this not out of coldness, but because she is fundamentally healed. That transformation, that magnificent shift, is not his to observe or interfere with. It belongs exclusively to her. It is her victory in every sense. And even if he eventually seeks out the woman who loved him unconditionally, she will not be available, because now she directs that powerful love toward herself with the same intensity she once offered to someone who could not sustain it. That is the irreversible outcome of wounding a truly loving woman. She does not just depart, she transcends. And that is a reality many men only grasp when it is irreversibly late. Women of true character do not plead. They do not pursue those who damage them. They withdraw, they contemplate, and then they ascend, not because their love was weak, but because when you offer the purest part of your being, the most honest version of yourself, and they still inflict pain, something within you fractures. Yes, but something infinitely stronger is awakened. You start to derive your sense of worth not from his perception, but from your own deliberate healing. And once that fundamental shift occurs, it is permanent. When a man is the source of a good woman's pain, he assumes she will fall apart. He thinks she will become lost in her sadness, that she will return needing resolution, desperate for one final exchange, clinging to any fragment of attention. But women of true character do not remain broken indefinitely. They may grieve, they may stagger, they may feel momentarily disoriented, but they do not stay defeated, because they are deeply resilient. They are powerful, and that resilience is forged by every instance of sincere love and subsequent hurt. And when they finally choose to leave, the moment is not dramatic. It is measured. It is dignified. And above all, it is conclusive. The profound error men make is assuming her silence signifies weakness. That silence is a resolute choice, a decision to protect her inner peace, a choice to cease begging to be acknowledged, a decision to stop diminishing herself just to be accepted in a relationship where she was consistently undervalued. Authentic love was never meant to be a constant struggle. And when a woman of quality finally accepts that core truth, she does not seek retaliation. She simply lets go. And that act of final release is precisely what they never anticipate. They operate under the belief that they will always have time, that one day they will come back when they have matured, when they have acquired wisdom, when they finally see her true worth. But by that time, she is already flourishing in environments far more nurturing than anything he ever provided. She is not resentful. She has merely moved beyond his scope. And that is a form of regret very few men are emotionally prepared to face. The regret of knowing they discarded something rare, something genuine, and that it was entirely the product of their own actions. Because there is an integrity to a woman who loves honestly, who gives without playing superficial games, who shows up with unwavering loyalty, grace, and an utterly open heart. And when that caliber of woman stops showing up, it is not a scene. It is a profound metamorphosis, and the stillness she leaves behind resonates with an unparalleled force. They will search for her essence in subsequent partners. They will pursue fleeting admiration, hollow compliments, temporary affection, but they will never find her again because she possessed a unique singularity. And once you have experienced that quality of love, the kind that sustained you when you could not sustain yourself, you do not simply lose it. You actively destroy it by refusing to recognize its value when it was directly in front of you. When you are the complicated one, but she still commits. When circumstances become difficult, and she still holds belief, even when you have lost faith in yourself. That level of dedication is exceptional. And that is the true cost of wounding a truly loving woman. It is not solely about her physical absence. It is about the years he will spend chasing fragments of her essence in individuals who can never approximate who she truly was. She did not lose him. He lost her, and that magnitude of loss will echo throughout the remainder of his life. A man who wounds a good woman typically convinces himself there will be no severe repercussions. He rationalizes that she will endure, that she will tolerate just a little more discomfort. He believes her affection will perpetually mitigate the damage. But what he fails to comprehend is that her loyalty, while powerful, is not infinite. It reaches a breaking point. And once a woman of quality arrives at that threshold, everything about her perception shifts. Not only how she views him, but how she now views herself. She begins to realize that her capacity to love was never the problem. It is not even that she cared too intensely. The fundamental issue was that she offered the correct type of profound love to the wrong type of man. A man who was simply unprepared to receive it. A man who deep down perhaps never truly felt worthy of it. And when a man feels undeserving of authentic connection, he often sabotages it before it has the opportunity to fully expose his vulnerability. Because standing authentically before a woman who genuinely sees you, your failings, your underlying pain, your darkest aspects, and still elects to love you. That is terrifying when you have not reconciled with those aspects of yourself. So, instead of bravely embracing her love, he retreats from it. He pushes it away. He diminishes it. Not because it is inauthentic, but because it is too honest, too exposed. And when that woman ultimately leaves, something deeply sorrowful occurs. Not to her, but to him. Because while she may shed tears, she simultaneously evolves. She grows stronger. She rediscovers her selfhood, but he begins a slow, silent disintegration, until one day he is confronted by a profound void and cannot comprehend how every good thing simply evaporated. That is the unavoidable truth about breaking someone who only desired to love you fully. You do not just lose them in that moment. You forfeit everything that could have blossomed between you. You forfeit all the aspects of yourself that only came alive in her presence. You lose the peace she brought to your inner turmoil, the confidence she placed in you when you were unable to find it within yourself, the gentleness she extended to you in a world that constantly demanded you remain tough. That is the actual cost. It is not only about her exit. It is also about the loss of the improved person you were becoming while she loved you. A truly loving woman never demands flawlessness. She only seeks sincerity. She desires effort. She needs to see genuine intent. She looks for growth, humility, and an honest heart. When you prioritize arrogance over adaptation, ego over truth, you are not merely rejecting her affection. You are simultaneously walking away from the improved man you have the potential to become alongside her. And the most heartbreaking element is that the majority of men only recognize this when the opportunity has passed, when she has already proceeded, when she has already found self-sufficiency and peace, and they are left behind contemplating what existed and what could have been, haunted by one quiet, persistent question. Why did I consciously push her away? And the resolution always circles back to this core reality. You were not prepared for that quality of profound love. You had not invested in your own inner work. You assumed she would remain static regardless of your behavior. But authentic love does not beg for validation. It does not linger where it is not respected. And when that truth finally hits you, it does not just cause temporary pain. It fundamentally alters your worldview. And frequently, by the time you are finally ready to change, she has already moved far beyond your reach. What many men fail to grasp is that the consequence of wounding a truly loving woman does not conclude when she physically leaves. The ending is not clean. The pain does not simply dissipate with the passage of time. The repercussions extend much further than he anticipates. They return in completely unexpected ways. When you break the heart of someone who offered their love without reserve, you are not only shattering their trust, you are also damaging something sacred within your own soul. So, whether you acknowledged her value or not, a woman of quality leaves an indelible impression. Her presence does not simply vanish. Her words, her encouragement, her genuine care, they remain in your subconscious memory. They resurface in moments of quiet reflection, in times of self-doubt, on nights when sleep is elusive and your usual distractions fail. Her love evolves into a distinct voice in your mind, a deep sensation in your core. And when she is gone, the profound silence she generates does not fade. It intensifies. That silence is a constant companion. It appears when you least expect it, in the stillness, in the isolation, and you finally begin to truly comprehend the magnitude of what you dismissed. Not only the woman, but the experience of being seen and loved without reservation. She was the one who remained when others departed, who extended forgiveness far too many times, who believed in your potential more than you did, and you allowed that gift to slip away. That is the moment when genuine regret manifests. not just for the immediate consequences, but for everything that was never given the chance to develop, for the superior version of yourself that was only accessible when she was by your side, for the life you could have co-created, for the future that now exists exclusively in your memory. And you may attempt to pursue new connections, new individuals, but the effort is futile, because what you shared was not merely about being in proximity, it was about being genuinely known, being fully accepted, being loved with an authentic depth. And once you have experienced that profound connection, everything else feels superficial, thin, less real. You find yourself constantly making comparisons, not by conscious choice, but because your inner self still recalls the sensation of being loved so completely. You realize the true cost of wounding a truly loving woman is not simply that she exited, it is that you forfeited a fundamental part of yourself with her, a part that only she was able to elicit. That is the quiet consequence. You may not perceive it immediately, but it slowly permeates your life in every subsequent relationship that lacks the same resonance. In your growing awareness that something vitally important slipped through your grasp, that she was not merely a brief chapter, she represented the definitive turning point. And you completely missed it. Because when a man wounds a woman whose sole desire was to love him fully, the pain does not reside only within her. It inevitably circles back and finds its way to him. Perhaps not instantaneously, but eventually. And by that stage, what has been lost cannot be retrieved. Because a woman of quality is not easily substituted. She is not easily erased from memory. And once she is gone, so is the opportunity to fulfill the potential of the man you were gradually becoming in her presence. And the harsh reality is that by the time you finally grasp this truth, it is already irreversibly too late. When a man wounds a truly loving woman, what he typically fails to realize is that he is not only inflicting immediate pain, he is also permanently altering her perception of herself, of the nature of love, and of the world itself. A woman who once loved freely, trusted easily, and approached life with an open heart does not simply recover effortlessly after being hurt or minimized. She adapts to survive, and regrettably, what she learns often makes her less vulnerable. She begins to doubt the core feelings she once held with such certainty. She questions if the love she offered so generously was a fundamental error. If her unwavering commitment was naive. If believing in his potential so intensely and for so long was merely an act of foolishness. This alteration does not manifest in explosive arguments or public emotional displays. It occurs slowly within her psyche as an act of necessary self-preservation, to ensure she never experiences that specific type of devastation again. She questions if the love she offered so generously was a fundamental error. If her unwavering commitment was naive. If believing in his potential so intensely and for so long was merely an act of foolishness. This alteration does not manifest in explosive arguments or public emotional displays. It occurs slowly within her psyche as an act of necessary self-preservation, to ensure she never experiences that specific type of devastation again. And what remains is a woman who is meticulously more reserved, more cautious, someone who constructs protective boundaries where she once invited openness. When you are the source of pain for a truly loving woman, you involuntarily force her to undergo a transformation. And she does. She becomes more resilient. Yes, but that resilience is built upon a foundation of pain she never should have endured. She becomes more self-aware, more prudent, but this comes at the expense of the inherent softness she once valued. And here is the reality that should haunt any man if he genuinely reflects on his actions. You were the agent of that change. You were the one who compelled her transformation. You converted her deep affection into silence, her profound care into emotional distance, her commitment into self-doubt. And the tragedy is that she never desired to become that guarded version of herself. She wished to remain open. She wished to maintain her faith in both love and people. And she deeply believed that offering her heart completely would be met with an equivalent reciprocal commitment. But the emotional damage you inflicted taught her a different lesson. It whispered that giving too much is inherently dangerous. That caring deeply inevitably leads to immense pain. That loving with everything you possess is an unwarranted risk. So now, she navigates life differently, not necessarily filled with anger, but fundamentally changed. She trusts less readily. She is significantly more cautious. She listens more intensely than she speaks. She observes keenly rather than simply giving freely. She has mastered the art of keeping crucial parts of herself concealed, not because she wants to manipulate, but because she refuses to bleed for someone who has not demonstrated they merit access to that vulnerable part of her. And while this transformation is vital for her recovery, it should serve as a painful indictment for the man who necessitated it, because what was lost was a precious innocence. And when that innocence is superseded by an absolute commitment to self-preservation, it rarely ever returns to its original state. You did not merely lose her. You actively participated in creating a version of her the world will never again fully experience. Not because she is irrevocably broken, but because she is now fundamentally more prudent. She understands that love is not always a sanctuary. And once someone internalizes that lesson, it is nearly impossible to forget. The greatest sorrow is that she may eventually become everything you failed to appreciate for another individual. But that person will be obligated to earn her trust meticulously, prove their commitment consistently, and be significantly more reliable to access the parts of her that were once so easily and openly given. You deliberately locked the door, and now someone else will have to dedicate substantial time to carefully unlocking it. And you are responsible for this, not because she was inadequate, but because you were incapable of handling the profound gift she offered. You could not manage the depth, the complete love, the unwavering commitment, and now you must carry the burden of the truth. She became wiser, more resilient, and more reserved because of your actions. That is the indelible cost of wounding a woman who only ever wanted to love you without reservation. On this channel, The Truth About Relationships, I share science-backed ideas to help you understand your worth and build the strong, loving relationships you deserve. Subscribe to the channel and join our community. And please like this video, it really helps me create more content. Share your life stories, wishes, and ideas for new videos in the comments. Thanks for watching.